Hi, good afternoon, everyone.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Olivia.
Hello, yes.
Hi, hello, good afternoon.
Afternoon. So, yeah, maybe we can start our session today, now. So now it's 2:31. So thank you everyone to spend your valuable time to attend our second iElder Zoom Education Meet 2021 today. So I MC for today. My name is Olivia Kwa. So can you hear me? If yes, please type 1 at the chat box. Can you hear me well? 1, yeah, means that you can hear me, yeah? Okay, for housekeeping matters, please put your name and your company name. Please mute your mic during this session. If you have any questions, then you can raise at the Q&A session later, or you can actually raise your question at the chat box. So let me brief you today's agenda. And after me to do the opening remarks, we will welcome our Mr. Darren Terence Douglas, our president of each group, to give us the welcome remarks. And we have our first speaker later on, and Miss Shen Yiru. He's a Gentle Food Singapore. He's a founder and CEO of Silver Connect. She will share about trend in the texture modified diets for patients and also tips how to prepare puree food at home. And also the Singapore nursing home and hospital experience. And last but not least, we have our dietitian from Singapore, Miss Fu Jiamin, to talk about importance of nutrition for patient and elderly. Then we follow by Q&A. After the Q&A, we'll close the session. Yeah. So let me brief you about iElder. So the company is founded by Mr. Dr. Kong Wai Hong. He has both medical profession, Western medicine and Chinese medicine. He wants to integrate both medicine, the best from the East and the West, to give the holistic treatment for patients. So the company name is called Asian Integrated Medical. So apart from the GP clinics and TCM clinics that we have, we also run a social enterprise senior care center, and we also distribute medical equipment to pharmacies, clinics, and hospitals. So iElder.asia is an e-commerce platform focused on senior community. So we help senior citizens to achieve their quality retirement life by introducing leading quality innovative medical home care products. Reason to start iElder simply because of my staying alone parents. One afternoon incident happened to my mother, fell in the toilet, and triggered me the importance of independence living during retirement life. So today, we actually have the giveaway, the free gift for our participants who stay with us until end of this session. Ika, can you show that what free gift that we give away? So we have our sponsor from Dr. Mama Group, Ika. Is a Dr. Mama mask and also one piece and also one alkaline water. And these two things that Dr. Mama actually is the mask that antiviral mask that have a proven test report about, against the COVID test, COVID-19. And also is a very cost effective because can wash 100 times. And this alkaline water is very good for the blood circulation, all sort of things. So, and also remember to like our Facebook, iElder.asia, as well as the QR code. So later, after the session, I will send you the in the screen. We will put up the QR code for you to register your delivery address, and we'll give these two things for you as a souvenir. So now we come to our important session. Yeah, so now we welcome our Mr. Darren Terence Douglas, the president of Age Group, to share the welcome remarks. Darren, please. Over to you.
Very good afternoon to everyone. My name is Darren Terence Douglas, Darren for short. I am the current president of the Association for Residential Aged Care Operators of Malaysia. The acronym is AGECO. and the bahasa name is Persatuan Pengendali Jagaan Berkediaman Warga Emas se-Malaysia. So we currently cater for all old folks home, whether you are a registered, licensed or unlicensed, you all are under the current age group association. So I would like to welcome all of you here today. The objective of having this association is to take care of all homes, especially those who have licensing issues. And for those who have license, the problem they face in renewing or when they are renting a premises and the owner decides not to rent out anymore, and they have to move to a new premises, and then they have to take a new license all over again. So that's what
我那以为驾。
我是大象。如果把你扔到太平洋上的一个荒岛，没有食物，也没有淡水，你能活下来吗？能活多久？我们今天讲的这。
Okay. Some people cannot hear me, so I think it's if you can't hear me, it's your setting on your own laptop. You have to go to your setting there to program it, to reprogram it. Anyway, as I was saying, our job here is to assist all homes. We have one voice. When we can come together, we can have one voice. When the government sets regulations prior to this association coming to existence, when the government sets regulations, they did it impromptu, or they did it without getting the feedback from all the players in the industry. So we being here, we got chance to give our feedback. We got chance to engage with the government. In fact, HCOP, after the government have acknowledged our existence, the existence of us representing all the care operators in Malaysia, the government has also included us in the Rancangan Malaysia ke-12, the 12th Malaysia Plan. And we can give our input to the government that what we as caretakers actually need, instead of you feeding us information and telling us that this is what you need. So we can tell the government now, this is what we need. Actually, the regulations you give doesn't work in the sense when we are helping the people that we take care of. So this is our officially, we started in the year 2016. We had our first meeting in Kuala Lumpur. 400 operators all over the country came, and then when we got ourselves registered, and in the year 2018, we were running as an association. One of the things that this association wants to do is to upgrade all existing homes and to ensure there are proper caregiving by all operators and the staff are trained. On top of that, we want to ensure there are proper diet and food intake by all the residents in all the care homes. And today's event, today's food dietary intake by iElder is most welcome, and HCOP is gladly here to participate, because this is one of our aims, to improve the food intake in all the care homes. Sometimes we feed the elderly just on what they want or based on what we think is right for them, without going through the proper dietary plan. So today's iElders program, this event today is very, very welcome, and we are glad to be associated with iElder. Thank you again for inviting us here. Thank you for all of you for coming to join this event, and I hope it will be a successful event and we can learn so many new things today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Darren. So for those who the nursing home has yet to join HCOP, please welcome to contact Darren for the information. Yeah. So and I know that his target is to licensing after all the 1,007 care center, and also to ensure the better quality trained staff. Yeah. Thank you, Darren, for your welcome remarks. So we come to the today topics about the puree diets. So may I know that how normally you prepare your puree diet for elderly or the patients? Is it you prepare porridge, or you blend the rice, veggie, meat all together, right? And it become very ugly appearance, right? The presentation. I'm very impressed with the Gentle Food Singapore for the food tech invention. So when I look at this food tech technology and introduced by my friend Suzanne, and I realized that actually if you are sick also, you can enjoy the food with the very good molded puree food is safe and nutrition, but also at the same time can stimulate your appetite with the way that it looks, tastes, and smell. So we bring the joy back to the people who have the swallowing difficulties. So I'm very impressed with Yiru, the founder of Gentle Food Singapore. So the company name is called Silver Connect. And also the dietitian from Singapore, Miss Fujamin, the dietitian, will talk about the practical way to do the puree diet and the practical practical way of presenting the food in the nursing home, and also they actually promote it to the Singapore hospitals as well. Yeah, so let's invite first speaker, Miss Iru, to share this puree diet. So back to you, Miss Iru.
Good afternoon. Sorry. Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining us this afternoon. Today I'm going to talk about what our company does in Singapore, our experience here with the trends and texture modified food. And thanks so much for Oliver to have this session just dedicated to us. As Singapore and Malaysia we are neighbors, but at this time we cannot go over and share with you guys, and as much as we want to see each other, the best way is to do it over the Zoom. Okay, let's move on to the next slide. So Silver Connect is the name of the company. So when we started this company, we want to reach out to all the elderlies, basically. So we want to connect to the silver generation. And it's a 100% Singapore company, was founded in 2017. And when we started that, we're thinking about, what could we connect to the elderly? So it came about the food, because food is very important in every meal, and we started Gentle Foods. So it's a brand and a trademark of Silver Connect Private Limited. So all the foods that are manufactured are in Singapore, and we classify them as Gentle Foods. And it's not just foods that is important, but the drinks, whatever you want to think about the drinks. Oh, we stumbled upon the Flavors Creation from Australia. So they are our exclusive partner also in terms of drinks manufacturing. Their innovation is amazing. Okay. So what we do in Singapore is basically we create molded puree food. I mean, puree food looks very yucky. It's just blended food. And, most of the time the hospital will serve like, a mashed potato and everything just being blended. And sometimes there are colors, sometimes, we just say, it's like back to eating when you were young. So what we wanted to do was to stimulate the appetite, by the way it looks, it tastes and smells, and really bring back joy in eating. Because sometimes eating is actually very important for recovery, and you want to eat together with your friends and family, although you are sick. So what we do is, we rework all the recipe, we do all the processes, not just at home, but in a factory. We kept the whole process very standard, plus the ingredients and formulation that goes in, and we create not just meat, vegetables, but we also went into looking at desserts, which you will see later. So our Singapore plant is way in the north, in Woodlands, so it's very close to you guys. But hopefully, when COVID is over, we definitely will want to work with someone there to, especially Olivia will guide us there and work with you guys more. Right. So what happens when someone is sick and really look at swallowing difficulties? You can see that in elderly homes, right? Because we are serving at least 4 nursing homes in Singapore, 2 hospitals and 1 hospice. We observe that majority of them in the nursing homes are demented. So they forgot how to eat, they forgot how to swallow. So they just literally just eat and then they just go into space. So almost 68% of demented patients are actually in nursing homes. 65%, as you see on the slide, are actually people with stroke. And we're seeing a lot of stroke patients, actually those that are discharged from the hospital and they are at home. So these are the guys that we reach out to them with our puree diet. And when I started this business, I didn't even learn, I didn't even know that mental patient, because they are mentally not sound. In Singapore Institute of Mental Health, almost 200 patients are on puree every day because they just eat very quickly and they choke. So the puree food is actually very important in such a circumstances. And this is just to show you a generic number, in terms of global, which is the whole world. There is, in terms of elderly, 60 years and above, is 1.5 billion. And in Asia, which includes our two countries, 0.7 B in Asia is above 60 years old. So Asia is really catching up in terms of aging. And Singapore itself, I think by then, 2030, we have almost close to 1 million. So that's alarmingly, scary numbers that all of us will be fearful. I'm sure Malaysia is triple, or due to your population, you guys are even more than us in terms of above 60. So our purpose is really to give back what life took away. You can see this is a presentation. We mold every single thing. I mean, because the mold, we're quite limited in terms of mold, but as we improve and develop new products, we're coming out with a local desserts mold. You can see the chicken rice. This is what we have done in Singapore. And we want to give back time to caregiver. We hear, especially when we deliver, our team deliver the goods, caregiver has a lot of things to take care of in terms of the patient's needs, what else, the medication, bringing them to the doctor, taking care of them. And we want to give back, that extra time that they have to rest and really take care of the food. So the nourishment by engaging their appetite of the patients and really to eat together with family. So even some of the caregiver does share with us that, sometimes before they give it to their, the loved ones who are sick, right, they eat the food themselves. So they are really very amazed in terms of the food. And also the flavors back to the seniors, because, when you age, you can't eat anymore, you cannot swallow, but you just want to taste that you used to, you used to remember, and quality ingredients and healthy balance. So in terms of the standards right now, right, I'm sure the dietitians or people in the hospital would have been aware of the iElder.asia. The chairman was in Australia. So they came out with standards of texture modified food. So as you see, foods are being leveled to 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. So there's puree is level 4, mince and moist are bite size of less than 4 mm, and then there's soft bite size and easy to chew. But drinks is the other way around. So drinks, there's a moderately thick, mildly thick. So these are the international standards where it will be implemented in all countries. All speech therapists, dietitian, food services, everybody will be speaking the same languages in the years to come. So you see that, Nestle, all the drinks, they have different level, and especially food is not yet, but it will come. So that's why we decided to go onto this path to standardize food. Like in medical devices, there's class 3, class 2, right? But in food, this is the medical nutrition, different levels. So we have unique formulation, know-how of really processing such food in the factory to ensure the consistency of food texture. I mean, there are many people in doing food puree, but we have done it in a different format such that, the smoothness is really like, very creamy. There's not excess water in that. So, and not loss of nutritional. We retain most of the nutritional content. We also make sure that there's the taste and the smell is really triggered for the Asian context. And we try very, very much not to add any preservative. That's why we quick freeze them to store them. And of course, we have our dietitian in the company and other dietitians in the hospital to validate the nutritional content. And the standards that we have for our food, right, has been verified by our speech therapists and lab tests to show that this is meeting the standards of iElder.asia. So moving on, I like to share you guys what we have done in the past 1.5 years, actually more than 2 years when we started on this research collaboration on local acute hospital. So it's very simple. The objectives of the study was, the hospital wanted to say, hey, what's this regular appearance of the real food? They really want to resemble, the real food to the actual food. So you can see on this picture, you can see there's noodle that we tried, chicken, sausages, fish, broccoli. We were trying all sorts of items just to create a kind of look and flavor. And we developed chicken rice, soy sauce chicken, and then fish rendang, whatever you can think of it. It's an array of things. And the challenge we have is because of the clinicians, they wanted us to meet the IDDSI guidelines. It's not easy, but that 2 years really taught us a lot of things. So in a hospital service, in a hospital kitchen, there is the speech therapist, the clinician, the chef, I think even down to the doctors. You have to be aligned with all the four. From a nutrition, from a level of texture, everybody must say okay, and the chef must say, hey, this tastes good. So we learned a lot during our research collaboration. I think before we implement, as we embark onto this project, we learned that there's so many menus. Every day people tend to eat different. You won't be eating chicken rice for the rest, like 5 days or 7 days, right? So that's how we were very creative in developing, hey, we need to develop 30 days menu. We need to think of 30 different breakfast items for puree diet. So that's how the innovation comes on. And you'll see on our website, soon enough, we will have lots of breakfast items, snacks that are coming on board. And of course, not forgetting the nutritional values and the ingredients. And, because this food is really served to the patients, food safety is an important element. So what we have done is we work with a local manufacturer to produce this food. Every single batch has gone through microbial testing. The hospital will be asking for microbial testing, checking the kitchen, checking the factory. So whatever you do, they will check, because these are all going to patients. And we did implement our food. Can you see that this is how it's plated? And this is heated. This is the shape of the food that is being served. Your pumpkin, your puree sauce, your chicken. And really also, because this is at end of life, they sometimes they stay a month, if not shorter than 3 days. They just want to eat whatever they can eat. And of course, food safety is also a concern, because if, let's say, food gets choking, if they choke because of our food, then that's going to be very bad. And delicious and flavorful. So the outcome, residents really enjoy the food. I mean, they were surprised, because they were staying in the general hospital. They were staying in
I think cannot hear you.
Can you hear me? Sorry. Okay.
Yeah, now can.
So basically, we work towards the IDDSI standards and really educating the kitchen assistant. Right. So when it comes to a nursing home, so this is my experience. I'm not sure what you guys, when you are those that are working in a nursing home, operationally, how crazy is it during the serving of food, right? At 11 o'clock, 11 to 11:30 in the Singapore nursing home, food will be served. How many wards, how many levels? Sometimes a nursing home can be up to 200 patients, 50 patients. Basically, residents are really on puree diet. So what they do is they have no time to really plate until very beautifully. What we did for a nursing home, we have actually bagged them out, everything from factory, and it's good enough to scoop, and the texture is nice. Can you see the small little chocolatey food? It's actually chicken puree with teriyaki sauce. So you have the sauces actually infuse, you blend together with the meat to create the flavor and the smell. So, and the texture is really very smooth. And that's how a nursing home would serve, because there are too many residents. They have to, do all this very quickly. And because of that, there's a lot of challenges in kitchen. So sometimes, right now, some nursing home gets those big, those big blender, those handheld. If you don't do it properly, sometimes the fiber of the vegetables may be stuck somewhere, and it creates the risk. So what happened is why they converted into our food, because everything is being processed in the factory. So we make sure that every batch that comes out is consistently fine and there's no texture being compromised. Okay, and of course, one of the homes actually shared with us that, hey, they really enjoy the food, because as elderly, they only take 100 to 120 grams of protein, but some of them are taking more than what was being served. So isn't it a good thing that the food is tasting good? And of course, from a kitchen assistant and food services, if they're not in this space, they will say, hey, what is being done? What creates that kind of very nice smoothness? So it's all done in the factory. We don't do it on site. So, and of course, because of this initiative, we keep on educating the homes, because the hospitals, they always have the clinicians, the dietitian, and the speech therapist. But once you come to nursing homes, they're not so aware of such an initiative. So a lot of awareness, a lot of teaching must be being taught and shared. So this is what we offer to patients at home. So we actually mold them very cutely, and in bags of 6 pieces. So in the nursing homes, if they want to do sometimes once a month, they can actually take a 1 kg bag. Then they can plate it for their residents once a month for the special day, like Chinese New Year. Some of them actually asked us to prepare this for Chinese New Year. And we deliver smaller bags for residents at home. So because the porridge is easy to prepare, our patients at home tend to buy the protein and the vegetables. So we have breakfast and snacks, and they purchase by bags. Okay. And of course, we won't just stop at the puree food. We'll look at the soft and mince, and there's a different class of preparation in terms of that level. And you see that, okay, so you can see all these pictures, right? They are all the bags that we send it to. So these are very big 1 kg one. They have been sent to nursing homes. So they are all the fish that's been pureed and molded and all sent. So what they need to do is the final touch, unback it, tear the plastic bag, put it on a plate, steam it for 30 minutes, and it's ready. So this is what the residents, if let's say in the hospitals, they are taking the molded form, or at home, if they, there's no time wasting on blending food or cooking. So they just heat them and plate them. So gentle foods will actually ensure food safety, texture, and the taste all being met before we serve either the residents or patients at home. So it's also very easy of use, because ad hoc servicing is possible, because sometimes that patients admit at night. And if they want something like a puree diet, they can actually heat all this thing and just eat it, as a night snacks. So these are ready to eat bento boxes. Sometimes, you have ready to eat food, and these are all the ready to eat bento boxes. We have 4 flavors right now, all Asian flavors, and consistency level 4. So for the kitchen, for homes, it's very easy. Just heat it and serve it for residents, okay, and patients with swallowing difficulties. And it's frozen, 12-month shelf life. So that's the benefit of it. They can buy, and you can see the actual plating on the right side, where you can see the fish, the sauces on top. So we especially put the sauce away from the item, so that if it's too spicy, at least you don't need to use all the sauces. Just scoop it away and you just put it aside. So that's the variability in serving the kind of food. And it's really a complete meal with a good source of protein. So we make sure that there's NIP in terms of protein. Conventional steaming is okay, that you steam your fish. You just open the film and then you just steam it, or low power microwave setting. So this is every box, every packaging has our nutritional content. Everything is online. You can actually check it out. It's halal certified because the factory is halal. And we will put in whatever diet it is. It's a puree level 4. If it's a soft meat, it's level 5. So this is, our molded puree food. So some of the residents in nursing home gets to eat this once a month. And so at the institutional, so I mentioned earlier where we did our implementation in nursing home, they did the unmolded form. So some of them use the molded, some of them use the unmolded. Unmolded will not have a shape. So you just scoop, but the texture is there. So they just scoop the amount, whatever they want, and then they just serve. This is our selection of desserts that there's a lot of thought that goes into it. You see that it is really the type of where we really blend to the right consistency, the thickness, and this is zhongfan. This is the best shape that we can have it. So you steam it, for a normal trikui zhongfan, all this thing, when you eat it, you really need to chew, right? But ours just put in the mouth and it smells. So even though it's steamed, like 15 minutes on a high heat, the shape is still there. And then when you put it in the mouth, it just melts. You don't need a lot of energy to bite it. And we also launched our ang ku kueh. So ang ku kueh, I'm sure some of you in Malaysia would have known that it is glutinous rice. We reformulate the whole thing to make it very, very soft. So that's how we do our innovation in terms of different food. We look through the ingredients, we rethink the processes, we reformulate to create new things in our company. And of course, before I end this discussion, there's a lot of things that can be done at home. It's how much time you have, that you want to do your things at home. You can see on the website, all you need is a blender, a very powerful blender. And I didn't share any thickener because I will be selling thickener. I don't want to say any preference for any company. You guys would have known that there's Nestle, there's Hormel. I think there's there are a few brands. We have our own formulation to also create our own stuff because we use a starch-based item, and of course the formulation will allow us to make sure that even Asian food, because I think most of you know that the Western food has a lot of starch base and it's easy to mold. But when you come to Asian delights or even the vegetables that we have, like, your chai xin, your kangkong, whatever, it's so watery. So we need to find the right mixture of ingredients to actually bind them together. If not, when you steam, it actually loses its shape. So that's what our technology and our processes in the factory is all done as a proprietary knowledge. But I'm just sharing with you at home, when they want to do it on their own, you just buy your carrot, you buy your fish, and you blend, and then they will come with a thickener, a food thickener, just pour it inside and thicken, and then they mold into shapes, and then they just, click it, and then they just eat it. Or, that's how preparation is. But you can also freeze it, you put in a trays or different shapes where you use it to kind of put it into the freezer, and then as and when you want, you just unmold it. So basically at home, if you're talking about preparation wise, right, you take about an hour from the cutting to prepping to cooking to molding, and then you unmold to heat up. So an hour and a half. I think that 1 and 1 hour is good. If you have time, that will be good. If not, you want to spend more quality time looking after your loved ones. So I think that's it. I've spoken a lot, shared with you guys our experience, and we welcome any questions later.
Hi, thank you, Yiru. So now we have our now by looking at this, you look at this, the food is not is a hard food, right? But when you look at the shape, but when you taste it, it's actually melt in your mouth. So but now I have our next speaker, right? Miss Jamin. She is a dietitian from Singapore, and she will share about nutrition for elderly and patient in hospital in Singapore. Yeah, Miss Jamin, your call.
Okay. Hello. Hi, I'm Jiamin. I'm a dietitian with Silver Connect. So I work with Yiru, and my role is providing the advice for the therapeutic diets that our company actually manufacture. Okay, so thank you so much for taking your valuable time on a Saturday afternoon to join us. So for this section, I will be sharing a bit about the nutritional requirements of elderly and those elderly staying in community as well as in the hospital. Okay, so a little about the background of aging across the world. So with improved healthcare system across the world, with access to food and advances in technology, people are living longer lives. According to World Health Organization, 1 billion people are 60-year-old and above in 2020, and this group of people will increase to 2 billion by 2050. In 2050, the world's population over 60 years old will reach about 22% of the total world population. And according to World Bank, the overall life expectancy in the world is 72 years old in 2018. And females tend to have higher life expectancies. Okay, if you look at the life expectancies of different countries, you can find that Hong Kong ranked at the top with life expectancy of 84.9-year-old in 2018. And the life expectancy of people in Malaysia and Singapore is 76-year-old and 83 years old, respectively. Oldest people in the world can live up to 115 years old. Okay, how does aging affect the nutrition of the elderly population? There are physical factors and social factors which affect the nutritional status of the elderly. So firstly, as you age, you may lose some of your teeth, your muscles in your mouth may weaken. So all this actually lead to weaker chewing abilities. You may also experience swallowing difficulties due to medical conditions like stroke and dementia, Parkinson's disease, Alzheimer's disease. And many people also experience weakness in the body and muscle, leading to difficulty in moving around, doing your usual daily living. Okay, so some people also actually live alone or live in the rural areas. There may be lack of ability to pick up own groceries for some elderly living in the rural areas or living on their own. They also actually experience limited financial resources, as many of them, they are actually no longer working, they are retired, and they are depending on their past income for their current expenses. Okay, so what can help to improve the nutritional status of the elderly population? Firstly, we should make sure that they have good oral health. So if they have any loss of teeth, healthcare professionals should actually refer them to dentists to have dentures made so that they can actually consume their normal food. Okay, so for those with swallowing issues, they have to be referred to the speech therapists for assessment. And patients diagnosed with dysphagia should actually comply with diet fluid consistency. This is to prevent risk of aspiration pneumonia. So as you know, patients with dysphagia, they have difficulty swallowing, and their food may actually get into their windpipe or get into the lungs, and this will cause inflammation of the lungs. And many of elderly also face a loss of appetite because of their different medical conditions, including like they may be on cancer treatments, they may be undergoing chemotherapy, radiotherapy. So doctors can help them to increase their appetite by actually prescribing appetite stimulant medications. Okay, so for those living in the community, elderlies who are alone, they should be actually connected to like volunteers, befrienders, or social workers to ensure that they are able to connect to the community, able to get the financial help that they need. Okay, next, why is maintaining good nutritional status of patients important? About 1/3 of inpatients are actually at risk of malnutrition. So poor nutritional status can affect the recovery of patients, especially elderly patients. So in a Singapore study, we actually found that 3 wards, oncology wards, endocrinology wards, and respiratory wards have the highest prevalence of malnutrition among their patients. So this is not surprising. Okay, so so what do you think? Can an overweight or obese patient still be at risk of malnutrition? Okay, the answer is yes. Okay, a lot of people have the misconception that overweight and obese patient, they will not have risk of malnutrition. But acutely, if a diabetic patient is admitted to a hospital with a diabetic leg ulcer, the needs for like protein requirements have actually greatly increased. And especially when they are not feeling well, they actually eat lesser than before. So this will cause them to actually be at risk of malnutrition. Okay, so how does the nutrition status of patient affect their recovery? So many studies have actually shown that poor nutrition status of patient is associated with longer period of hospital stay, poorer overall medical outcomes, higher incidence of hospital readmission within 15 days, increased mortality and lower survival rate. And all this will increase the overall hospitalization and medical cost of the patients. Okay, so next we will look at what nutrients are important for the elderly. Okay, I'm sure many of you know this, okay, especially for the dietitians. Okay, so for elderly, many of them are actually admitted to the hospital because of fractures, can be hip fractures, and they may have already experienced falls at home. Okay, so calcium is a nutrient that's very important for them, especially the elderly, 50-year-old and above. They must make sure that they actually have 1000 mg of calcium daily to prevent risk of osteoporosis and falls. Okay, so this 1000 mg is according to the Singapore guideline. So I believe in Malaysia it is also similar. So calcium can be consumed from dairy products like soya bean, tofu. So you can see from the following photos that 1 cup of milk provide you with 300 mg of calcium, 1 slice of cheese 200 mg of calcium, 1 cup of yogurt about 240 mg of calcium, and 1 block of tofu 150 mg of calcium. So you can actually get enough of your calcium intake from your food, okay? But for those, of course, if they're experiencing poor appetite, then they may need to take calcium supplements to meet their requirements. Okay, next, the next nutrient that is very complementary to calcium will be your vitamin D. So it can be obtained by ensuring that you have exposure to sun about 10 to 30 minutes, 2 to 3 times a week. Because when sunlight fall onto your skin, it will actually stimulate the production of your vitamin D. Vitamin D is very important because it helps in the absorption of calcium for you to maintain strong bone health. So for adults 51-year-old and above, the daily recommended dietary allowance for vitamin D is 100 IU. Okay, so the following pictures will show you the different types of food that provide you with vitamin D. Okay, so as you can see that the Mediterranean fishes, the oily fish, actually provide a very high content of vitamin D. Okay, next, as I mentioned previously, protein intake is very important for elderly to maintain their muscle mass. Okay, so the daily recommended protein intake for elderly is 0.8 to 1 gram of kg body weight per day. So you can see 1 pound size of meat provide about 25 gram of protein, 1 large egg provide 6 gram of protein, and then your baked beans provide about 10 gram of protein, and your 2 small blocks of tofu provide about 15 gram of protein. Okay. The next nutrient we will look at is dietary fiber. So as you know that constipation is very often experienced by many elderly patients. So fiber intake is very important for the elderly to maintain healthy bowel function, to help them with constipation. Okay, so I understand that for Malaysia, the daily recommended serving of vegetable is 3 serves a day, and the 1 serving of a vegetable is half cup of cooked or raw vegetables. And for fruits, the recommended serve is 2 serves a day, and you can see 1 serve is like 1 slice of banana, 1 handful of grapes, and 1 slice of papaya. Okay, next, an issue that Iru has mentioned. So dysphagia is the condition of difficulty in swallowing, and we see that the incidence of dysphagia is especially high in elderly patients. It's present in about 25 to 45% of patients admitted in hospital, and it's present in up to 60% of elderly patients in long-term care institutions like nursing home. So dysphagia is very important risk factor for aspiration pneumonia, and aspiration pneumonia is associated with mortality rate of 45% among hospitalized elderly patients. So it's very important to manage dysphagia to reduce mortality and morbidity rate. Okay, I'll skip this. Okay, so let's come to what are the different types of diet consistency for patients with dysphagia. Okay, so for you and me, without swallowing difficulties, we will be able to consume our normal consistency food. Okay, but in the hospital, there are specialized diets for people with dysphagia. So firstly, we look at blended diet. So blended diet smooth and consistency, they don't have any lumps, and no chewing is required. Okay, and then there's another diet is called finely minced diet. So finely minced diet actually means small lumps of food are present, minimal chewing required. And then we also have a costly means diet, which bite-sized pieces of food present, and your chewing is required. Okay, so patients with the worst swallowing abilities, they will be put on blended diet. And then if their swallowing abilities improve, then they may move to filling means diet, to costly means diet, and then slowly to soft food diet, and then to full diet of choice. Next, what are the different types of fluid consistency for patients with dysphagia? So like you and me with no swallowing difficulties, we will be able to consume our normal drinks. So like our plain water, our coffee, tea. And all these drinks are considered, and they are called thin fluids. Okay, but for patients with swallowing difficulties, they have to add thickener to this thin fluids before they can consume these drinks. Okay, so for patients with the worst swallowing difficulties, they will be put on pudding thick fluids. Okay, so pudding thick fluids, the fluid actually remains on the spoon. They hold together, they are not pourable. Okay, next, if their swallowing condition actually improve, they can move on to honey thick fluids. So honey thick fluids, they coat the spoon, they slowly sink through your fork when placed on a fork, and they're comparable to your honey. Okay, then we also have nectar thick fluids. So nectar thick fluids form a thin web on your fork or your spoon. They are more easily pourable, but less so compared to thin fluids, and they're comparable to your thick syrup in terms of the fluid consistency. Okay, next we want to look at some sample meal ideas for elderly on a blended diet. Okay, so for breakfast, elderly, they can have like a cup of blended oats with added full cream milk to increase their calorie and protein intake for breakfast. Okay, for lunch, their suggested meals can consist of like a blended porridge, blended broccoli, blended carrot, blended fish. And for dinner, they can have like mashed potatoes, blended pumpkin, blended spinach, and blended chicken. Okay, there are other sample snack ideas for elderly on blended diet. So for example, morning tea, what is easily available outside from supermarket will be yogurt. So for patients on thickened fluids, it will be more advisable for them to get a Greek yogurt, the thicker yogurt, compared to the thinner consistency yogurt. Okay, so for afternoon tea, they may can have a slice of fruit, or they may also consider like having some of our products are like blended ang ku kueh or blended pineapple tarts, which Yu has shared about. Okay, for supper after dinner, you can actually make your own papaya puree at home by blending the papaya. Okay, then the other alternative meal choices which Silver Connect actually has actually manufactured is like pureed chee chong fan. Okay, so this will give you about 130 calories and 20 grams of carbohydrates. And then we also have other meal options like pureed chee kueh, which gives you about 130 calories and 12 grams of carbohydrates. So these meals are also suitable for people with diabetes. As you can see, the carbohydrate content is not excessive. Okay, so overall, what are the tips to increase nutrition intake for elderly patients? Okay, we should always encourage them to have small, frequent meals and snacks, because many times they are unable to eat too much at one time. So they will not be able to have the 3 main meals at breakfast, lunch, dinner. So they may need to split up, have half a portion at breakfast, another half portion at morning tea, and then lunch, they may also need to split up. Okay, so we always encourage our elderly patients to have fresh food. Okay, and if they are not able to finish their meals, then they can actually top up their calorie and protein requirements with nutritional supplement, nutritional drinks. Okay, but we want to encourage them to continue to have their normal foods. Okay, then always encourage them to choose high calorie foods and drink. So high calorie foods and drink, a lot of times the dairy products are very important, like your full cream milk, yogurt, pudding. Okay, this provides your calcium, your vitamin D, and your protein. Okay, so other protein food sources for vegetarian may be like your tofu, okay, and your baked beans. Okay, so for institutionalized patients, it may be beneficial for them to actually have a space to eat. But of course, in view of COVID-19, then there's some issue with this, because you need safe distancing. Okay, and then very important for the elderly patients who struggle to even hold a spoon, then they need someone to actually assist them to eat. And then if they're not eating enough of your fruits and vegetables, then a multivitamin supplement can actually help them meet their requirements as well. Okay, so these are some online resources that you can actually refer to for more information. All right, okay, so any questions that you have?
Question from the Facebook. So the first question they ask is that your puree food products are frozen and then reheated prior to serving, correct? How do you overcome the idea of some people have that this method is not nutritious? And then the second question is the puree food suitable for diabetes patient? Answer, Jiamin or Yiru? Yeah, cannot hear you. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yes, can.
Sorry, I didn't hear your question just now.
From the Facebook. So they ask the first questions. This puree food is suitable for diabetes patient, number one. Number two is that your puree food are frozen and then reheated, right, prior to the serving. But how do you overcome the idea of some people that have this method but is not so nutritious?
So to answer the first question, I think for the diabetic one, right, the first one. So our like what Jiamin has shared, our carbohydrate is low enough, so they are suitable for diabetes patient. I think all this nutritional content is actually available online, so that you can watch, what kind of diabetics the patient is. So as what she shared just now. And for the frozen food, I think there was a question from Facebook. How do you overcome the idea that some people may not think it as nutrition? So what we do is, right now, this is the only way to preserve the structure and also not add preservative, because if we do at a high heat, right, and we do test all this nutritional content before we pack it up. Okay, so in terms of, so far nobody has actually asked us this question. It's just heating up, so it's like heating up a chicken when it's frozen, that mindset lah. Yeah, so I think I have two questions. I think one more that it came in. How long can your products be kept for? Our products are about 12 months shelf life. So that is what we are having our products right now. The individual packs right now is 6 months, but the bento boxes are 12 months. So we are pushing those 6 months frozen one to a year.
And we have people from our group here, yeah, Zoom, and asking for some questions.
Yeah, so I have one more question that came in from Facebook.
Okay.
Puree available? Yeah. We would like to work. So the question is packed puree food available in Malaysia? Where can we buy them? Well, soon. I think when Olivia and myself, can work out something, because this discussion is really to create awareness because of COVID. You know, as much as I want to work, you know, bring in the products as soon as possible, we want to make it also affordable to you know, Malaysian our friends in Malaysia. So that's something that we are discussing in terms of, you know, exporting it to you guys. So give us some time. We will make it available. Okay.
And then they said that the puree food suitable for patient on dialysis or will need to be tailored for this case?
Well, dialysis are more renal patients, right? So far, I think maybe that question I can ask.
Okay, so as you know, for patients on dialysis, they need to restrict potassium and phosphate content. So for food that are high in potassium and phosphate, then they will have to avoid. So for our current, I mean, the current products, I guess generally like the chicken rice bento set, the ji chok fan, the chukwe, they should be fine for dialysis patients to consume. But then you will have to avoid certain products like broccoli. Yeah.
Let me try to answer some of the questions that's coming in.
If anyone here wants to raise a question, it's
From a
okay.
question of puree food at home, the starch puree tend to harden with time when it's cooler. How to overcome and the issue as elderly dysphagia tends to eat slower? That's a very good question. Yeah, you're very right.
I think your voice is cannot hear well. Yeah.
Hang on.
Because one of the speakers.
Can you hear me?
Now can, yeah.
Okay, good. So I was trying to answer this question from preparation of puree food at home because it tends to harden. It is true it tends to harden, but we have tested an hour or so. If the food can be consumed, it should be fine. I know feeding elderly can be a very challenging you know, experience. So far, our guys in the nursing home, they fed them within an hour. It's still very smooth. So that's not an issue for us. Once reheated, how long can the puree food be left out? Well, we did our testing, so an hour or so, you know, there's no fasting. So it's still okay for consumption, 1 hour. There's also a question, how long can your products be kept for? If it's not cooked and not reheated, 6 months for the individual pack now. We're testing for a 12-month shelf life. The bentos are 1 year, 12 months. So, okay, when blending meat at home, hard to achieve smooth texture as per IDDS guideline. Any tips to overcome? Well, I think you need to really get a very good blender. Smooth texture, yes, I think our formulation, because we have a special thickener that really smoothen, you know, we actually blend, we have a special ingredient that's added to smoothen the whole thing. I mean, because in factory we were able to do it because we have the process to smoothen the whole thing. At home, try to blend it as long as possible, or you know, you cut it or you cook it very, very long. The food, you either, you know, because there's a lot of fiber, right? You just have to make sure it's not there. I mean, you have to blend it, you cook it longer to soften. That's the only way I can think of for home processing. What is a good substitute for high protein for elderly who has a tendency or history of having gut? That one I'm not very good. Jiaming, maybe you want to answer that question that came in. A good substitute for high protein for elderly who has a tendency or history of having gut.
Jiamin, cannot hear you.
Hi. Yeah, okay. So good sources of protein can be your fish, Hello?
Can hear you. Yeah, please continue. Yeah, Jamin, we can hear you. You can continue that.
Yeah, hi. Yeah, so there's a question, right? What is a good substitute for high protein for elderly if they have tendency of having gout? So for gout, as long as they avoid like internal organs, some lentils and beans, they still can have a variety of high protein from other meat sources. So it can be your chicken, your fish. Yeah, so other low protein foods are also suitable for people who wish to have high protein. So they still can include the dairy products like your milk and cheese. Those are fine for people with gout.
Okay, there's one question that came in. If patients are prescribed with low salt and low cholesterol diet, how can your product fit into this range? So yeah, we okay, for us, when we did our products, we also take note of the low salt. So low salt per meal is, we
Hiro,
try to
maybe
keep
you
it as
can off the
low
other side.
as about 500, if I'm not wrong. I think that's the range, that 500, right? I mean, I'm just checking with Jiamin. And low cholesterol diet. Jiamin, you
Actually for our meals, right, we go according to the Singapore Health Promotion Board guidelines. So the total fat intake of the food per 100 gram is less than 10 gram. Yeah, but we're also constantly looking to further reduce the fat and salt content of the different products.
Okay, I think I have more questions come in. Hiro, you want to answer that?
I'm sorry, I can't hear. Sorry, can someone repeat?
I think we answer all the questions from the chat box. So anyone that have any other questions, want to raise it, you can actually ask the question. Just on your mic and introduce yourself, and yeah, you can share, ask your questions here if you want. So sounds like so much questions, right? So maybe you can share slide. Okay, so I think that's it for today. But we also have our, just now I mentioned that iElder, we've been doing a lot of events. So thank you, Iru, and also Jamin and Darren for sharing today. So our next coming event is on the 25th of March. So we have the sweet and sour automation bathing devices sharing. This is actually put in the toilet and the bathroom, and then the elderly can shower independently and safely at the center and also in the hospitals. So this is an innovation by the Hong Kong universities with the professor. So they would like to share these opportunities with us. So, and tomorrow we also have our flash sales, the free delivery for the Gusina is for the diabetes diet. And you can scan the QR code and you can enjoy this promotion from iElder. So as mentioned before that, we have the giveaway, and you can actually take this QR code and please give your delivery address, and we will send this fabric mask. Dr. Mama mask is the antiviral mask and antimicrobial, self-sanitize. It's very cost-effective because you can wash 100 times, and they actually tested by the COVID test lab, proven that can have the effect on that. So, and also this alkaline water, and it's very good for the blood circulations, and also of good things about this water. Yeah. So you feel free to snapshot this QR code to fill in the form. So, and also, last but not least, please like our Facebook as well, iElder.asia. So thank you very much for your sharing. So if you have more questions, you can ask now. If not, we will end our session today. So because, yeah, any more question to share, to ask? So I think it's end of the session, and thank you very much for joining us. Let's us take a group photo together. To mic on your video, and we can do a group photo together. So yeah, have you taken, Ika? Okay, 1, 2, smile. Okay, Ika, all done? All done, right?
Can you stop presenting first?
Okay, sure.
Hello. Okay.
Okay, that's all. Thank you very much.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day. Thank you, Darren. Thank you, Yuru. And thank you,
Thanks.
Jamil, and all the
Bye.
participants.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Hai, buka sini dong. Take a photo, then bisa 20 orang.